me tell you how it will be.
Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. You know what that music means. He's here, the one and only Taxman Bob Loeser. And I got to tell you, this has been a fun show already. One of my favorite guests was on last segment, and then another one of my favorite guests on this segment, and one of my most popular and long-term contributors on The Price of Business. And I actually miss you between times you're on, by the way.
Well, thanks. You notice he's politically correct. He doesn't say his best, but he says one of his best. And so I can't really run at him sort of in defense and saying, what? But I thank you, and it's good seeing you, and happy New Year to you.
Hey, I've been around long enough to always hedge your bets.
That's right.
So tell me, first of all, how was your holidays? Good?
Very good. Very quiet. Stayed in town. Actually, I'll backtrack. For Christmas week, we went to my wife's family, which is in Oklahoma. And we flew because we thought we'd see some weather, more so the snow, and it didn't happen. The temperatures were 65 degrees every day through Christmas. We flew out the 26th, which was the day that Dallas had the tornadoes, you recall? We missed those tornadoes by about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Wow.
We flew over Dallas going from Oklahoma City, got in here, was a bumpy ride, and then when we got home and watched the news that evening, it ended up, bad for Dallas and surrounding areas with the tornadoes. Temperature dropped like 30 degrees.
I want to ask you early, can we hold you for 2 segments?
You can.
Awesome. We're going to do that then. So what I like to do is, when we can do that, when we have that opportunity, talk a little politics one segment, talk a little bit of business the next segment. So let's talk a little bit about the political front. Okay. There's this running conspiracy out there that Ted Cruz and Donald Trump are in cahoots with one another.
Right.
You've heard about this theory.
Right.
And I don't think the theory is true. I think both of those guys have big enough egos to not, comply with one another. And now you got Donald Trump, and the theory is that Trump gets to be president, Cruz is vice president.
Exactly.
There's 20 years difference,
right.
And so there's plenty of time for Cruz to move into the job after
Correct.
Trump is done. But here's the deal. Now Trump is saying that Cruz is not qualified because of the origins of his birth.
Right.
To be president. How do you that to me seems damaging to the theory.
I think, I hate to say this, but it may be political in nature. Coming from Donald Trump, those two words are not synonymous.
Yeah.
I think it's.
You mean the guy who's had multiple marriages has a hard time with commitment?
Right. I think it's sort of like somebody said the other day, we were talking and said, do you think some of this is contrived? Some of it is sort of being set up for whatever success and failure. And I actually said yes. I think the same thing with what you just said is he wants Cruz to be in his corner. I think that would make a great team. What they're doing is they're sort of pulling away from the pack, like in a horse race, and they're the two lead contenders. But if Trump stays as is, wouldn't it be great to pull the Cruz supporters in with him into the corral? Mm-hmm. And so despite the fact that he's not qualified, behind scenes he's probably saying, until you can show that you cut the distance between my 37% and your 18%, I'm going to still come after you, all right? But you've got a part on this ticket if and when I win.
Yeah. The problem that Trump has, and I think it's a really big one, there's a couple of them. First of all, is that whenever anyone leaves, the GOP race, they're not going to Trump. They're going to another candidate. Most, I think, are going to Cruz at this point.
Correct.
I think Bobby Jindal's candidate support, where do you think they went? I think they went to Cruz.
Right.
Ideologically, very similar.
Right.
And so, what's his name?
But the same thing could be held. I think possibly Carson's people may go to Trump.
Right.
Okay.
Right. But you're talking about a much smaller pool. Combined, they're all single digits, all those legitimate candidates, but combined, there's like 60% of the vote. Or I'm sorry,
Correct.
about 55% of the vote. And Carly's support has largely already left and gone somewhere else.
Correct.
Carly was literally the flavor for about 2.5 hours.
Correct. But I also see it possibly, and you very well may be right. 40% is where Trump is, and somebody gets 60% because they gather all the toys up and scoot them into a little toy box, and then they can claim them as their own.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen, only because I think they're going to, the Jeb Bush people are going to go, I'm not going for Trump because he's a bully. Right. All right. So they go to a Rubio or they go to someone else, and then they're disappointed with their new candidate. Where they're going to end up it may be Cruz and it may be Trump by the time it's said and done. And a lot of people, despite the fact, Trump tells it like it is.
Yeah.
We need to cut immigration. Yeah, we need to cut immigration. It has nothing to do with Syrians or tall people or short people or whatever ethnic race we're talking about. It needs to be cut. We need to take care of the cities, the Detroits. Unemployment rate is 5%. Tell it to the people of Detroit.
Yeah,
tell it to the people of Cleveland.
Yeah, that's because 40% have given up looking for a job.
Exactly. Okay. It's like saying that the NFL game that were sold out. Okay, but if they didn't count the kids that went through the gate, they wouldn't be sold out. So if that's going to be the case, if the kids that aren't coming to the table for unemployment aren't being counted, what's the count worth?
Yeah. Right. Exactly. So that's interesting. The thing continues to evolve. I'm dying to see what happens. The other reason why I think Trump has got a problem long-term wise is the fact that it's ground game. Currently, Trump has virtually no ground game in Iowa. Cruz has a phenomenal ground game in Iowa.
Although he's taken some in the last week or so, with
we're
with
weeks
the ads.
away now. I mean,
but he may be going on the basis of I got this far. All right, then he shows up and says, "Hi, I'm here." And all of a sudden people go, well, he cares. I didn't think he cared. And those people that are sitting on the fence, is their vote for Bush worth anything, okay, or Carly or whomever? And who do I switch to? Okay, there's still issues with both Cruz and Rubio as to immigration.
Mm-hmm.
Where do they stand and how many people do you let in? How many people do you give passes to? And how many people don't give passes to? And if the child is born here in the United States, you and I have talked about this in previous shows. If somebody crosses the border yesterday and has a child today, that child should be a U.S. citizen. Hello? Anybody home?
Right. Oh, no, the whole anchor baby is a problem. We're the only country in the world that has that.
Right.
Literally the only country in the world. It's time to revise that. It's time to change that. When that was written, it was really hard to get babies from other parts of the world in the 1860s when that law became, people weren't coming in mass, and so, and we had strong borders back then. We didn't let just anyone in. And in fact, we were kind of like invading other countries at that point. So,
and would there be a flow through to the United States of so many people and I use this analogy and it's not meant to be derogatory, okay? When we went years back to the ASPCA to look for a pet, okay, they run you through a check of who you are. They want you to pay for the shots, $89. They want you to pay for the set fee, $50. Imagine if you didn't have to pay anything, you just pick an animal out. You take it home. The kid gets bored with it about a week. You take it out to the country. You drop it off. You kiss it on the forehead, and you say goodbye.
Right.
Okay? They don't do that. Why don't they do that? Because they want you to have a vested interest in that pet.
That's right.
Okay? Why don't we do that with immigration? You want to come over here, you're flocking to the gate, you have to pass that toll. That toll is $2,500 per child, $5,000 per adult.
Yeah.
All right. Bottom line is they become vested in the United States.
Yeah.
All right. Then they could go.
I like the idea. I don't mind some. Immigrants becoming American citizens if they served their country for 4 years in the United States military.
Correct.
We did that en masse for years. Barack Obama, by the way, is no longer an automatic. I think anyone willing to risk their lives for 4 years for our country should be given a U.S. citizen. It's like we're trying to attract the wrong types, and we're disincentivize the type that really want to become U.S. citizens.
Correct.
It's crazy.
Correct.
It's crazy. All right, very important stuff. Glad we got the topic. Got the topics. It's always a lot of fun.
I'm hoping with Iowa and New Hampshire that the candidates will weed down from the 115 that we've got or whatever it is to maybe 5 or 6 that people can focus on and say, all right, well they've got this point and they've got this point. Again, the only thing why Trump is there is he's not tied to any money.
Yep.
He doesn't have to kiss anybody's backside. And he tells it like it is, despite the fact, you know what? In this day and age, everybody is so sensitive. That's not politically correct. That's being a racist or whatnot. You know what? Wake up and smell the coffee. It may be bitter at times, but it's reality.
Absolutely. All right. When we come back, we're going to have more of my very good friend, Bob Loeser. Taxman Bob, we affectionately call him here. His email, by the way, is taxmanbob@pdq.net. That's taxmanbob@pdq.net. Office number, 713-682-8000.
No. 713-953-1272.
One more time.
That was actually Kevin's probation officer.
Oh, no, that's my next guest.
713-953-1272.
More after this on The Price of Business.
'Cause I'm the tax man.